I started this stream under the wrong topic in the wrong channel, so I have stopped it and restarted it with up-to-date information. So now we'll give a couple minutes for people to show up. Hopefully it doesn't send out the email just saying it's a gaming stream. I don't know, man. All right, let me snack up for a second and we'll go. Title shouldn't be sitrep fragging out. Maybe just reload your page. I don't know. I don't know what to do if Twitch will not correctly update the information. Yeah, just giving people another minute or two before we start. That's all we're doing right now. Because, you know, the emails go out and all that. Oh, I've been tired all day today, man. I think it's all the gaming lately. Makes me tired. How come I stopped playing CS? I don't know. At some point, you've played enough CS. I mean, I probably played 2,500 or 3,000 hours of that game. At some point, you got what you were going to get. Any ETA for a broader audience? Look, when it's ready. That's just the answer. Don't ask. When it's ready, it'll be ready. As soon as my tea is heated, we will go. Any tips to complete projects? You always abandon things at 80%. Don't abandon the project. Is that not a straightforward solution? How is that solution not obvious? Like, what do you want me to say? Oh, there's a long list of controversial opinions that I could say that would cause a bunch of articles to be written about me. You know what they are as well. Everybody knows what they are. Is the language available to anyone inside the immediate team? No, it is not. All right. Let's start doing some work. In previous streams, we were working a bit on the system for replaying levels. And I can demonstrate that very quickly. So, I've got this level. I'm just going to move my guys around a little bit so that all the animations are loaded. Okay, so I'm resetting the level, and I can hit, a key. Oh, it's still going. Why is that going so jumpy? Oh, it's because now, okay, so we play back tests that contain a series of moves to perform, and we play them back at a certain rate faster than real time. And it turns out the old rate was capped. So when I was saying 64, it wasn't really 64 times faster. But now it is. And that's causing the frame rate to be low because we do so many sim steps. Whereas now, so this is like 10 times speed. And that's much closer to an accurate 10 times speed. Right? So there it had to load a couple things. But so we can play back individual levels like this. And then I can run this on the whole game. Now the problem is, in any level that has a lot of timing, I feel like the gameplay, the desktop audio is not the right device. So any level that has time-based elements doesn't play back correctly right now. Turn down my own speakers so we don't get a lot of feedback. And that turns out to be a substantial number of levels now, because anytime people fall, that involves timing and all that, right? And so what we started doing earlier in the week was working on the system that would handle timing better. Now, I was doing an earlier approach. Well, actually, even in the non-timed levels, I had thought ahead of time, oh, we'll just record the timestamp of every move, and we'll use that to play things back. And that was the approach I was doing in the previous streams, and we got that working. The problem is it doesn't really solve the problem, and the reason is that like game simulations are fiddly, and if you want to play back at different speeds like we're doing here, well, how do I explain? I mean, basically, if you play things back with different time steps, then different things will happen slightly differently, and at some point, the failure rate in your automated tests is going to still be high because, like if two things happen on the same frame, and your code processes one type thing A before thing B, right? Then even if they don't happen at the same scalar time value, okay, let's say thing A happens at time 0.5 and thing B happens at time 0.49, right? So one time, if your frame simulates from 0.4 to 0.6, you get both of those, and then you process A and B in the same loop step, and so A happens before B. But if you run a frame that goes from 0.4 to 0.495, and then 0.495 to 0.51, you'll actually do B before A, right? And trying to get that right is onerous enough that it's not worth it to do all that engineering and restructure the gameplay code in order to handle all of that correctly, unless the game is about that, which this game isn't, and most games aren't, right? so so the problem is that any system of gameplay recording that doesn't play back the exact time steps that happened during the recording is subject to that kind of a problem. And so what I've decided is actually for these timed levels, we need to drop back and do an old school thing where we literally just record each amount of frame time and whatever input happened on that frame. And that's it. And then when we want to play faster than real time, we're going to have different strategy for that. Like we'll skip rendering of, every 10th frame or something instead of, instead of making the time steps different amounts of time. So we're going to do that for only timed levels, for the old style levels. I think we'll leave them the way that they are for now so that we still have a bunch of tests. I haven't explained this in a very lucid manner. Like I said, I'm a little tired today and we haven't done a programming stream in a little bit. But, does that make sense? Do people know what I'm talking about? Does this playback system give me Braid flashbacks? Not really, because Braid didn't work this way mostly. World 5 in Braid did. But mostly Braid did not work this way. So did people get Twitch emails that this was a programming stream, or did they get blackout emails because I started a stream accidentally before I changed the info? Game? That's too bad. Frickin' Twitch. All right, well, that's how it is. It's essentially what you naively suggested months ago, but not declined. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do things that would have better properties, but the problem is just to do it this way, things would have to be pretty different than how they are. And, so I could rewrite the entity system. It wouldn't really be a rewrite of the whole system, but the simulation time step system to work the other way, where we figure out what event is the next event, and then we simulate up to that time, and then figure out what's the next event and simulate up to that time, and so forth. That's still a bit arbitrary with respect to when does input happen, but you could figure that out by making it arbitrary. But since this is supposed to be a simple engine, that's maybe not the best thing to do. Although that said, maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll end up doing it that way in the end. But, most games don't work that way. Wouldn't it be possible to record the order things happen instead of the exact timings? The problem is that the order things happen isn't the only thing that matters. The exact timings matter because we have objects that move over time and can race each other into various positions and stuff. Yeah, I'm going to ignore any questions about stuff like text editor. Like, dude, this is a programming stream. All right. Yeah. So I started doing a little bit of this stuff in the office on Friday, but it totally doesn't work this way yet. So I think I have developer. It's not developer keybind. I got to remember. Okay, so we have our key map thing, and we have a command called record, which is how we start recording the thing. And what I did on the office on Friday was I added an argument saying, hey, we're going to record a timed level. And that's just something that we'll do manually at the start, although whoops, command, oh, is it in, why don't I have a record command? Is it in commands? Where's my record command, people? Wait, now I'm super confused. What? Did somebody... This is just resetting. We don't have a record command anymore. Bro. Did somebody delete? What happened? Did I like never... Oh, it... How do we not have a... Did I like never check in this source file from my other computer? Like, what the hell happened? Did someone delete it? Okay, that works. Did somebody override... What is going on, people? Okay, we have a record command. Now the keybind is working. I am going crazy. Where is that message? Oh, it's in tests. Right, I didn't... For some reason, even though this is a command, I didn't put it in the same place and I didn't prefix it with the word command, and I just forgot that just now. Anyway, so you call this with a variable saying whether you want timing or not. And you might say that if you know that characters are going to fall. And if you record without timing, like maybe we should eventually just do all recordings be with timing, but just in case that doesn't work out, we're not going to switch everything yet. If you record without timing, then maybe if characters fall, we'll say error, you forgot to turn timing on. Here, there's certain kinds of entities that are timed, and if so, then we'll override timing and set it to true in case you forgot. So anyway, if timing we're going to do this. Okay. So now we've got this thing called current test frames, which is not used at all yet. This is going to be an array of, well, it's supposed to be test frame. I typed the wrong thing. And test frame is just what's the delta t for this frame as a float, and then what's the input that happened on this frame. And this, one reason why I have this being kind of essentially a different format than the old way is with the old way, we like journaled moves at the time that they happen. And here, we're going to journal them when they are buffered in, I think. So it's going to be at a different time. Anyway, so we're going to be saving in a different format. So we're going to be saving as version 6. And if, well, if current test is timed, has timing, we do one thing, else we do our untimed format. All right. You don't really understand why time stuff fails when we're playing faster. Wouldn't each frame's delta time just be higher and everything would just go faster? What am I missing? Well, the thing that I explained about the order of events can reverse. Unless your gameplay loop takes a great deal of care about processing events that happen during the same frame in the order that they happen. Like the natural thing for a gameplay loop to say is like, hey, update the lily update the lily pads, and then update the robots, and then update people who are falling or whatever, right? Or if you have like a more object-oriented, like every entity just has a update tick, then it's like update all the entities, right? In order, and who knows what order they happen in. And so for most of the ways that you would write a gameplay loop, the order of events that happen in the same frame is determined by the structure of the code, not really when the events should really happen. And because of that, the order of events depends on where the frame boundary is. You know what I'm saying? And so if you change the durations of your frames, the frame boundary is going to land in different places. Now, there are other issues as well, like the amount of time that it takes for characters to move and stuff, since they have acceleration, is a little bit frame rate dependent. And we probably don't care much about that for normal purposes because it's mostly just cosmetic. But when you start wildly changing the frame time, that can also determine when events happen. So then you have to have like really good integrators or I don't know, other ways of controlling motion that we maybe don't want to get into. It gets complicated if you want things really to happen in the same order. Yeah. So you can imagine now, just think about what the code would have to look like if you wanted to ensure that things always happen in the correct order, regardless of the frame time, right? You can do it. Like it's actually, it's not rocket science at all. It's straightforward. It just makes your code more complicated. And my hope is that we don't have to do that. Although, you know what? At some point, it may turn out that would have been the right thing to do. That's how it goes sometimes. Maybe I'm going to type in this system and it still will be a pain in the butt for some reason. We'll find out, won't we? Does the frame need to be physically rendered, or is simulated enough? Simulated should be enough. There shouldn't be anything about rendering that would change these things, but sometimes you have bugs, sometimes unexpected things happen. Okay, so if we have our timed format, we're going to say for, what's it called? For current test frames, well, okay, so we have to, since this is now version 6, we have to say, we have to add a line that says what's going on. So we say array add lines timed. The next line is going to be timed or untimed, right? And so we're going to have to handle that when loading. And then here for current test frames, we're going to say array add lines, comma. Well, do I have a way of printing a hex float? No. Not here, but I have it because when we save entities, oh, it's in serialize, I think. Is this where we do the text format, or is this just where we do the binary format? This looks like binary only. Binary only. We have a thing called save one entity. So called save entity. Sigh. What happens when we press save? Editor save as. Editor save. That's what it's called. Okay, so save single entity, not save one entity. I remembered the name wrong. Okay, so this is just where we're saving all this. And the reason I'm looking here is if it's a float. Okay, we just literally do this. Right. Okay. So in the entity file format, we print a human readable float and then a hex representation of the float. And we print the human readable one first so that you could delete it and go, you could delete the hex float and modify the human readable one. We're going to do this one the opposite way because I don't expect that we would ever hand edit these files. So we're going to put the hex float first, and then we're going to say comment, and then the other float, the human readable float. And that way we only have to parse the first word, and then that's it, right? Okay. Then well, instead of slot, we have to say, well, this test frame structure has DT. Cast the pointer to frame.dt, right? And frame.dt. All right. So we're going to print that. And actually, before we print that, or after, you know, we could do it after. We can print the number of inputs that we have. Wait, not print to builder. This is what happens when you paste too much code. Array add to lines tprint this. Okay. And then we're going to put the number of input events, right? So frame.moves.count. It's going to be 0 at first because we're not going to record any, right? And then for frame.moves, and then like that. So again, so the time, how many moves for each integer here, 1 move each, and then there. And you know what? We're just going to cut and paste this thing. Okay. We're gonna move our using up here, and okay. So it's either a delta or an undo or an activate or a magic, or we assert false. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Now we have a problem. Before we even ever save one of these out, we want to make sure we can still load our format, and we've changed the format because we have this word timed or untimed. So we have to go to the loading code and, well, so the handler in it loads that very first line that gives us the version number, and then we don't know anything else. So we're going to say if version is greater than or equal to 6, then we have to if we didn't find this log print, don't we have an error? I thought I made an error routine just for, I know I have it. Yeah. We just say error on handler. Could not find timed or untimed as the second line of the file. Oh, actually, for this one, we'll just say this is just file too short. We return null. Now, if timed line is equal to case times case untimed, or the default, right? So we set that, and then result.has timing, I think it is. Yeah. Okay. And then when we play back a test, yeah, we set test.has timing in theory. Okay. I'm just going through all my dumb mistakes. Okay, well, that compiles. Let's see if we can load an old test, which, for example, this level will have. Yep, we loaded it. It still played it back. It still plays it back. Still plays it back. So that's great. That's great. So that is a check-inable situation. Started to add handling for time tests. Any questions about what's going on? Why do you need to save the float as a hex? You don't need to. It's just faster to parse, and it's more exact, right? So if you want the number to be exactly what you saved it, you either need to make sure that you have a fully bidirectionally correct floating point printer and parser that are paired with each other, and you're using the ones that match each other, which we don't really have currently. We could make that happen. We will make that happen eventually. But if you want to be really exact about what the number is, just save the hex, because then you're guaranteed that you know, like reading an ASCII representation of a floating point number is like reconstructing the number in some sense by doing a ton of math. Whereas just saving the hex, you load the hex and it's the exact number. So yeah. All right. So, well, now we go to the main time file, and we're going to have to change what it does. So if we're recording a timed test, then we need to record a frame. So we were editing this on the last stream. I edited it somewhat afterwards, so it does things differently. But if we're playing a test, well, we used to do this thing where if the test has timing, then we set our DT. All of this is, I think, going to go away. In fact, it totally is going to go away. In fact, okay, so that goes away. So if we're recording a timed test, then test save current DT. Let's put it down here because this is, current frame DT is the official number that we are reporting. If we just use this local variable, who knows, we might modify it a little bit more between this and this. So let's not make that possible. Okay, so test record current DT. I hope that's a float. Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're recording the current DT. And, well, like that. Okay. So well, we should actually now be able to record a timed test. Now the question is, what's a good one? to C. I mean, we're not recording the input yet, but we want to make sure that the format comes out correctly and that we don't crash and anything like that. So let's run. Let's just find a level. I didn't recompile with that change in. So I know Maya made some timed stuff. That one's hard to win, so we're not going to do that one. All these levels have timing elements. But let's do one. I'm thinking I have a particular ones in mind, like this one. See, this one has these little timer bots on it. This is called Rover Square. So we're going to go here. We're going to go level Rover Square. Alrighty. And let's build. Okay, so if I control R on this, then it should say, hey, recording timed. Yes. Whoops. Forget how to solve this. No. Bro, I suck at this level. Okay. That didn't do anything. Oh no, it did. I'll just stand here. Okay, it's still not going to play back correctly because I have undos in there and we don't save undos. But that was a lot of frames. So let's see if we saved them. Yep. 7,000 lines. That's the drawback to this thing, this technique. Ugh. How much data is it? It's 50K. I mean, that just is what it is. I think, whoops, we didn't put a carriage return after timed. That appears to be our only mistake so far. We could like cap the frame rate at 20 FPS when recording, and that would divide the size of this by 3. But it should work anyway. Okay, so let's fix that. 52K isn't that bad. Well, it can get much bigger if the level takes longer to solve, which harder levels would. Okay. So we're also going to have to record the events. And, well, we could do it in the same, we could call record. Let's just do this. Record one untimed move. And one timed move is going to be different. For a timed move, we're going to say tmove is, well, we're going to assert current test frames dot count is greater than 0 because we always should have updated the time info before handling input or anything for a given frame, and updating the time info makes the new test frame. So tmove is the address of current test frames, current test frames dot count -1. All right, and then test frame, not test move. And we're just going to do that because we're lazy. Just call it move. Okay, so now whoever was calling the old name of this is going to break. So we got to fix that. Test record one move. One untimed. If currently recording test and not current test has timing, right? Now we also there we go. So when we buffer a move, then we do this. We record one timed move. Okay. So now we're going to record and then I'm going to ostensibly make a mistake, and then I'm going to undo a couple times just to test that. Okay, so now let's look at that again. Okay, we've got the carriage return. We're still 6,000 lines. I don't really see any moves. I'm looking for a 1 on the end of a line. How come I don't see any moves? That seems bad. Oh, we must not be setting... Well... All right, debugger. Bugger, what's your frogger? We're going to open tests, and we're going to say, do we ever call record one timed move? Right? Yes, we do. Okay. Well, whoops. Oh, we could have... Whoops. So we can break in that for loop. Here, I don't know why that would somehow get reset, but... All right, we're going to turn on cheats, and we're just going to say record. Whoa. I buffered too many moves. Okay. Did we... Oh, there we go. There's a move. We have moves. It's just, you know, it takes a lot of frames. All right. So that part actually is working. So we could theoretically go to playback. Oh yeah, Technic Beam noticed that there are a couple of lines that have the delta. I just didn't see it when we were flipping through the file, because most frames don't have inputs. But some do. Some do. Okay. Now, one reason why I overshot there is there's this old thing here, old meaning a couple days, where I don't let the player, like the player normally speeds up if moves are buffered, and here we don't let that happen if we're playing a test, but we're going to let that happen again, because in theory, you know, the frame times being the same would fix that. All right. So now, let's go back to time info. Okay, if we're currently playing a test, if the test has timing, then we just want to get the next DT. So if the current test has timing, we say dilated dt equals timed test, what are these called? Say test this is not needed anymore. None of this is needed. Test, let's call it test get next dt. Test advance frame and get next dt. Okay. Okay. Cursor. Oh, move cursor. Okay, that's timed frame cursor is going to be a different one. So we're going to say wherever that gets reset. No, I guess that never gets reset. We just reload the test. All right. So test dot, what did I call it? Time frame cursor gets incremented, and then if index is greater than or equal to test.moves.count, well, will return if index minus test.moves.count is greater than 20, then we're just going to say something happened. We played back to the end. Fail went way past the end of recorded timed frames. Signal test failure. Okay. Otherwise, return test.moves index.dt. Okay. Well, we should be able to play back this test. I mean, we're going to have to fix some compile errors, but also we need to say dt. Oh, it's not test move. It's frames. All right, get test start time. Well, do we want to do that? Yeah, let's go ahead and keep that for now. I don't think that'll hurt anything. Failed to parse test file. Okay. Well, it's the first time we're trying to load a version 6. So let's just... Why are we saying hash line? Unable to read undo depth and hash. Are we... Wait. Times, right? Okay, so... Oh. Wait, what? Oh, yeah. We didn't ever do the loading part at all. So obviously we can't play it back. Okay. If timed... Yeah. Okay. So okay, so that's just all that. And parse timed test. This is going to return null for a second while we deal with this. Oh. So we're just going to put that in there. We'll just use timed. Why not? Local variable. Put it there. Put it there. Okay. To parse a timed test, we will say while true, frame is a test frame. This is DT line and DT found. If there's no DT, we are done probably. And then we're going to have move count line, move count found. Error handler. Dude, I can shorten up all of these here too. Unable to find expected move count here. Return null. So let's do these. Error handler. Unable to parse time. Error handler. Unable to parse delta. Okay. Okay. So we get a move count, and then for 1 to move count, which we haven't converted that to an integer. Let's do that. Okay, so we've got a move count. There we expect a line. Expected a move line here. Whatever, we're not going to work that hard on these error messages because they should basically never happen. So okay. And then there's this part. Okay, if it's one of these, otherwise it's this. Wait, where's the remainder? This delta line. All right. Whoops. Okay. So, yeah. Return null. And then move.delta is delta. And then this doesn't need to be specified. And then this can be up here. Dude, I should totally make this an implicit cast. I think we're going to do that at some point. Oh, and then after all this, are they called? Yeah. Got to add the move. Dude. Undeclared identifier move. I put this in the wrong place, I guess. What does this pair to? Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Okay, well, probably screwed something up. Fail. Because, well, I don't know. We didn't get a parse failure. I bet that's an old... I bet we're failing because the untimed test code is kicking in still, right? I bet we are calling test continue playback. Timed tests will expire under their own conditions. Look at all this. Okay. We're going to call this test continue untimed playback to be very specific about what's happening. We're going to delete all the timing. And then who was calling that? Simulate. Oh, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. All right. Okay. So now we should still play back, but we still don't ever issue any moves, so we can't actually move. But we are playing back the test frames right now, in theory. And we'll see if it just fails after a while. We could actually print something to reassure ourselves that this is happening. Let's make sure we didn't. Yeah. I feel like it maybe should have failed by now. Oh, no, I was gonna do this, and then we'll run in the debugger, run in the debater. Shouldn't I continue or something if delta found is false? No, because it's a very specific file format. This is not a gushy, cushy file format like you would find in JavaScript. Like, we know what lines are supposed to be there. If we don't find the lines that we expect, then the file is corrupted, and we just don't read it, and that's fine. All right, so theoretically, we're playing back. Get next. Okay. We're totally not calling this. Okay, let's look at the test that we get back. It's got no moves. It's got no frames. That's not good. Do we just not add the frame? Do we just never add the frame? It's called result. Okay. All right, fine. We're going to be lazy. Gonna be lazy. Gonna be lazy. Okay, wait. Debug build so we can convince ourselves this is actually running. It's never calling this. Okay, let's look at the test. It's got a buttload of frames. Cursor's -1. It says it has timing. Okay, so it's called current loaded test. Okay. So what about this part? Oh, we never called it. If you don't ever call it, don't be surprised when it doesn't happen. Like literally and figuratively, don't be surprised. Okay. Hey, we're calling it. We're calling it. I don't know why the guys aren't moving. Oh, you know what? We've probably got all sorts of... We've probably got stuff about don't move these guys if you're currently playing a test. Still going. Okay. Really? I don't see anything that would make them not move. So either the delta is 0. Maybe we're playing back deltas of 0. What's it called? Fast. Short game report. We're going to put the frame index and the delta, right? Yeah, I keep missing the window. All right. All right, so we're going to play back. Yeah, we're playing back deltas of 0 for some reason. And the reason is because we're parsing a floating point number from a hex float, probably. Or we're forgetting to do that. Oh, you know what? We're probably forgot to just load the float. Right. Yeah, we get the DT and then we don't do anything with it. So congratulations to us. Yeah. Wait, what? What? Bro, we, in our entity loading. Oh my God. We're not actually using the hex floats right now because I procrastinated until later and then we never did it. That's bad news, Bears. We got to fix that. Okay. Well, we could just use scanf for now. Or do we have an integer parse? Let's do it. Let's just do it here. Okay. I mean, I guess we'll let people put a minus on there. Value is this, else if C is greater than char A and is less strength char F. Okay. So expected expression. Oh, I use single quote instead of double quote because I still think I'm in C++ because I'm a dummy. All right. Well, okay. Cast it to U32 and then frame.dt equals like that. Hey, we've got numbers that look correct. So let's just see what happens when those get to the end. There's like 6,000 frames. Or no, it was 6,000 lines. It's like probably 2,000 frames. There we go. Went way past the end of the recorded time frames. This is good though. Let's try to play back the moves. So we're going to make a test buffer moves for current timed frame. We're going to get this index. For off the end. Okay. If we're not off the end, we say moves for, well, let's say frame is test frames index for frame.moves. Insert them into the thing. And the way we do that is we say, we were just there. We say QGameControl manager oh, this actually perform immediately thing might screw us up. I don't know when that happens. If this triggers, we won't actually record the move, which is bad. Anyway. Hopefully that works. Okay. Now, when do we do this? Well, we do it during read input. Okay. See, this is weird because we want to block some, well, let me see what's in the gameplay key map. Okay, that's fine. We're just going to block all of these. If currently playing test, okay. Something like this. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, ray bounds check fails because what I said wasn't true. We're reading input before we're calling the... So we start this cursor at -1, and the theory is that we always call read input after we get the frame time. Maybe that's not actually how it's working, right? And so if we don't do that, it'll still be on -1. So read input, do 1 frame. Oh. On the frame where we trigger the test, we turn on the test in the middle of the frame. This is going to be slightly off. We're not going to fix this yet. So, you know, we read the user input in the middle of the frame, and it says, hey, start a test. And we call this thing that resets the entity manager and starts up the test and all that. But this is all real bad. We're basically going to be simulating an extra frame of time at the start. Yeah, okay. We're going to hope it doesn't hose us yet, and we'll deal with it later. So actually, we might be able to scum that. I think we could scum it. Okay, none of these events are happening. Which is a bad sign. Well, let's see when we load these. Do we ever get a move? We do. All right, so we do load moves. Well, do we ever get here? Oh, you know what? We do, and then we reject the move because we're recording it. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. So the problem is, remember that thing that I said, hey, reject player input if we're playing back a frame? Well, we go through that same path. Oh, well, actually it was... So we actually want to pass a flag that says... okay, so first of all, we didn't need the one that I added down. Didn't I add one in here? I added it somewhere else. All right, so we want to go input was generated by test playback. And that's just going to be an optional argument here. And then when we call queue game control, we're going to set that to true. Did I really say? Oh boy. She somehow managed to go up 1. And drown herself. I think our delta parsing is incorrect. For some reason. You can't, you're not supposed to be able to climb up those. Oh, those are the undos. Okay, so we have some really weird situation. Maybe it's uninitialized No, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. Let's play this back again. I hope you all are highly amused by our high-quality test playback. How am I syncing up the playback time with the original time when I started recording? Obviously, this will matter. The time when we start recording is always 0 now. We had some code in there that's for legacy levels that like recorded the start of the time for the untimed levels. But it always sets the time to 0. When you say record, it sets the time to 0 and resets the level. Okay. I'm just going to... So in parse time to test, we're going to get the delta. I don't really see what would be wrong with what we're doing there, but we're going to see. What is delta? 0, 0, 0. Okay, that's not good. Delta line. Delta line is 0, 1, 0. Oh, geez. Remember when I changed this? That was a dire mistake. That was me being a dummity dum dum dum. And I changed that in the old code and the new code. We're popping items off the string. So we, of course, still have to test recording and playing back an untimed level after we get all the time stuff working. All right. That wasn't good because she tried to go and got blocked. So it's like it's already not working. Just kind of bumming me out. See, that time it worked. Maybe the extra 1 frame at the beginning is a problem, or maybe we have some other problem. That was when I intentionally messed up and I did an undo. I did an undo. Oh! It's not playing back correctly. I mean, we kind of have something. It's doing something very different each time. Like what? Okay, now it's... This is all correct. I suspect it's something in the player acceleration handling. Because player acceleration actually kind of has some undebugged bugs right now. So what I want to do, I'm going to go in and turn off that for now. Remember when I went here and... So the test playback thing that we're doing is a great technique in general, but it's not, it's only guaranteed to work if your gameplay code is deterministic, right? Like if you were to somehow generate random numbers and do something based on them, or if you have uninitialized variables, which is another way to have random numbers, then playback may not proceed correctly. And you know, on my to-do list is like figure out why the player acceleration is wonky and players act kind of drunk sometimes. Could be due to an uninitialized variable. So I'm taking that out of the equation. I'm going to re-record this solution. Whoops. Let's make it clean. I'm just going to stand here for a bit. I'm going to go here. I'm going to undo. Okay. Let's play that back. No! What? Okay. So this is a different bug. I feel like there's a bug with the rover timing. Maybe. So like the time that these guys move may not be getting reset. Like... Yeah, see how the timing of them is not really being interrupted? I feel like it's not well controlled in some way. I don't know. I don't know, man. Let's see. This is in campaign state. Time to next rover update. Well, Maybe that isn't getting reset. Which would be a problem. It isn't getting reset. All right. Well. Oh, I know why that's true. I used to have this in this used to be in post undo reevaluate, and I realized that screwed up the timing, so I removed it from there. All right, so now the problem is I have to re-record the frickin' test because we got an arbitrary timing on the record. I didn't make it. Well, we'll see what happens there. A lot of undos. Looks like it's working better. Looks like it's working better. Undo. Etc. Do the things, do the things, things. Do the things. Okay. That was messed up because I actually in reality had to die and undo there. But you know what? I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Yet. Because there may still be other, like what'll happen is there may be similar problems like that one I just mentioned for other entity types, like their timing isn't getting reset properly or whatnot. But this is good. This is the first time we've actually ever been able to play back a test for a rover level and win. So now, though, let's try bringing back the player acceleration. And try re-recording. Yeah, no, we restart the level, like I'm about to hit record. See how the guys moved. Yeah. All right. So wait, what were we testing? Oh, the player acceleration. All right. Well, next, I think we try to skip rendering for many frames. All right, so actually let's check this in so that we feel a good glow of success. Are there any questions about what's going on there? before we go do more stuff. Timed test for a rover level. Actually, I should test, as I said, a non-timed level. So we're going to go level heroes 1-1. We're going to record. It's not timed because it didn't say recording started timed. I'm going to go back here. We're going to play it. Okay, so that still parses and works. So did I just commit? I did. All right, we don't really need to modify that. Okay, so we didn't screw up anything old. Not sleepy yet. I had a nap today. Dude, after I check this in, we're going to do some gaming, I think. Yeah, any questions about what's going on? I feel pretty good about this. So the last step of what to do today is to make that playback go faster. And then that's it. Maybe tomorrow we'll do some more work on it where we go through. So, you know, what's going to happen is after we check in the final version of this, I'm going to run the gameplay test on all the levels. And still like 60 of the levels will fail because they have timed elements. And then I have to go through and record tests for those 60 levels. And then some of those probably won't play back consistently. And then we'll have some issues to look into. But things will be better. Remove the frame being printed out on playback. Yeah, we could do that. Can you do the testing at 1-to-1 speed to see if they play the same? Well, that's what we just did. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you mean for the whole game, yeah, we just changed this variable here. Now, this time rate doesn't affect our new timed version testing. This is only for the old version. So we're about to make the new version obey this. But then once we obey this, we can turn this number to 1 or 5 or whatever. You know, I mean, I can show you that, right? So I can go here. If I go to like back to the heroes levels, right? If I test this, he blazes through it. I mean, it was a little like we end up loading some animation assets, which is what those frame hitches are. So that's 10 times speed. I can change it to 1.0, right? And then it's 1.0 speed. The animation is a little bit different because we don't. This version of test playback, because it does the thing where it doesn't put the events into the front of the queue, the animation system doesn't know there are further walk events waiting, which is why he looks like he's limping. He looks like he's doing this, which is what happens if you keep lifting the arrow key, whereas if you hold it down, he runs. That's just an idiosyncrasy of the old testing that I haven't cared enough to fix. If we switch everything to time-based testing, which we might for simplicity purposes, then the animation would just play back as you expect. But yeah, it doesn't look awesome. We can change it to 5. Why isn't this? Oh. Sometimes the Alt key gets stuck down software-wise, and it doesn't. You know, this is 5x. Other questions while I get a snack? Other questions? Alrighty. So let's do the timed playback rate. These are so weird. These are like pumpkin spice Reese's Pieces kind of things. And they're pretty good if I'm being honest. They're very sugary. What happened to the slideshow software thing? Nothing happened to it. It's still there. I haven't worked on it in a long time because I haven't planned to do a presentation in a long time, which is usually my motivation for working on that. These are like bigger than Reese's Pieces. Actually, and they also have like a layer of chocolate. I guess there's probably some weird Hershey thing that has the layer of chocolate. Okay. So let's go into tests, and we're going to say render, let's call it accumulator. You know what? I have to say, I don't think I'm going to fix this tonight, but I'm going to make that real big so that we don't miss it. That happened. Okay, so should fire test event this frame is not a thing anymore. But when we start playback, what we're going to do is we're going to add to this number, and every time it exceeds 1.0, we'll render a frame. And it starts at 1 because we want to render the first frame, because why not? So we're going to say so if this is greater than or equal to 1, we subtract 1, return true. Otherwise, we return false. And here, so we say dt divided by denominator, where denominator is gameplay settings. Is it gameplay settings? Gameplay settings test time rate. If denominator is 0, denom is 1, just, you know. So we don't divide by 0. And we add that. Okay? And then now I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to not render. Okay. Okay, game should render is true. And we're going to say okay. We're going to put this way out here. We're going to say let's see if that's a disaster or not. I really don't know. All right. Well, we didn't seem to render very many frames. Oh, sorry, that's an old test. That's weird. Let's oh, wait. I did the wrong math. Okay. So I guess if we just want to skip 1 out of every 10 frames, then we don't say dt divided by, we just say 1 divided by. I mean, yeah. All right. There we go. There we go. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Why would I make a game that wasn't just for fun? Yep, the parentheses are for parameters and the arrow is for return type. Yes. This is so fun because we have never had the ability to play these levels back before now. Let's try a lily pad level. I know we're getting too big for our britches here, but let's do it. Record. I don't remember how to solve this one. Oh yeah, I'll die if I try to. So the trick to this level, I die if I try to ride this lily pad there. So I have to like, I think I have to push this onto it. Whoops. So it's like trying to move. This level, yeah, there we go. Let's see if that plays back. That had lots of weird... Oh, nope. Nope. But that's... There's other weird... So the lily pad thing may not be getting reset, first of all. Yeah. These are so different every frame that I have to believe that the lily timing is different. So let's check that. What level is this? Send the troops. Okay, so we just had to reset time to next Rover update. What about next? Lily update. Wait, what is this -1? Why don't I understand this code that I just edited recently? Like, why are we subtracting? Oh boy. Oh, right. Okay. I get it. I remember. I remember. Because this is latched by this other thing. We did this on stream. We did this on stream. Okay, so we need to do this. Nope. But that wasn't... that was something about... I'm just not getting on the other side of the guy. It's a totally different problem now. Let's try changing this. Yeah, like what? This might just be to do with that extra frame that we're playing back. Let's try a Lily level that isn't so weird to start. Like one of mine. Actually, Maya has one. Anyway, so, you know, like I said, there's still going to be some remaining problems, and we have to iron them out one by one. That is the nature of this kind of gameplay recording, but at least in the end, it will all work. Lily Q is timed. What's Lily manip? Let's do this one. Okay. Actually, how do I solve this? I go there. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Whoops. 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 I keep doing that. How do I stop this thing? I forget. Oh yeah, never mind. I need to send this actually over here. Oh, I'm screwed. All right. Let's do this again. Do that. Do this. Do that. And then so we need to do that and there and there and there. Who knows what that's... Oh, God! What? I think the character switching is broken. The character switching... Yeah. Wait, are we going to start back on that level? I don't think so. No. Let's... So we record that in the playback as magic because they're bound to the same thing. All right. Let's just call this. Call these things. So when we continue timed playback, oh, no, it's not what it's called. There we go. Okay. So the thing is, calling Q game control directly is not quite the right thing. Oh, dude, this is gonna hose us. Okay. Got to insert this. These are all key map procs. That's only going to matter on a couple of levels, but that's going to be a thing we have to deal with. But for now, we just do this. Okay, so from playback, currently playing test and current test timing. Oh, no. We passed that here. And here. Okay. So undo, activate, magic, character switch, and magic true. Oops. Activate true. Undo true. Too many arguments. What a pain in the butt. All right. See what happens there. Hey, character switching actually works. Ta-da! Dude, this never would have worked before, probably. Sweet. All right. There's things to clean up. There's things to fix. But I'm going to declare victory. Let's go back to this one. Make sure it still plays. Yeah. This is beyond what I was hoping to get done tonight. I'm very happy with this, because we have never been able to record a test of those levels before. And that's good. Let's make sure that we can at least launch the full test. We're not going to sit through it right now, but yeah. This undo depth doesn't match error is what happens when you play a timed level through the untimed playback, because we recorded untimed recordings. So yeah, we tend to hitch a lot in the beginning as we load assets, and then we get smoother. Have to speed up the asset loader. So all the timed levels are going to fail due to that. Well, almost all of them. This one has some timing elements, but we just happen to make it. They're not too tightly coupled, but like that one is tightly coupled. Yeah. This is great. So basically what I'm going to do offline is just run this, and we get a list of everything that fails. And we re-record those. And then we're good. Oh, I don't know why those failed. That was weird. This one failing is weird. fix this later. We took out all of our... Yeah. Dodging lilies. We'll look into that tomorrow, probably. Basically, we're waiting for a player transaction to complete. And it doesn't complete for some reason. It could be a gameplay code bug. It could be the fact to do that it's a timed test being played back, or a timed level in the untimed system, and the untimed system doesn't know how to deal with the time level. Yeah. Anyway, we'll deal with it in a while. Yeah, there's like hundreds of levels in this game. Hundreds of levels. That's weird. The stone didn't skip until I moved. That's a gameplay code bug right there. Like, I kind of know... I kind of know what's going on there. But like, okay, here, I move left. That pushes the stone. But it's now not skipping. It's still in its teleport animation, even though it's supposedly synced with me and my animation is done. So that's not related to the testing system at all. That is a gameplay code bug that must be fixed. Look at that. As soon as I move, it goes. What games do I play? What a great question to ask. Because I was thinking it's about time to stop programming and start gaming for a little bit tonight. I think we've got at least an hour of gaming in us. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the programming stream. I'm about to stop the stream for just 5 seconds while I change the title over to a gaming stream. And then we'll start it up and we will report on some situations. Because the fact is, Doritos Bowl today was really exciting. And if I'm going to compete in next year's Doritos Bowl, I've got to up my skills by a great deal. So, oh, did we check this in? Yeah, we did, but we added a comment. All right, thanks everybody for coming by, and I will start up the stream again very shortly in an integer number of seconds. Back in a second.